The San Francisco 49ers injury report is extensive. It's a little bit wild. There's a lot of things that have happened in this. We got breaking news. We have potential retirements happening. We have a bunch of things that we didn't really have on our bingo card. Obviously, some of this are ramifications of the game against the Packers. So there's updates to those injuries. We have updates to Brock Purdy, Dre Greenlaw. There's a lot of stuff in this one. And we'll also do a little bit of a therapy session as well, just to make sure we're all continuing to stay mentally together. But yeah, this is a crazy one, but let's talk about it. Drop an SDS in the chat. Do me a favor, smash that like button. Let's get into it. This is a crazy report. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. Oh boy. First of all, shout out to the Sourdough Squad. It has been a very tough season for us. It's been a tough season for anyone who's been a 49er fan, involved with the 49ers, employed by the 49ers. It's been a tough year, but we got some crazy updates coming to you regarding some of these injuries. So let's get into them. Kyle Shanahan obviously meets with the media every Monday after a game. He provides additional injury details or anything else that's happening surrounding the team. So obviously that's what a huge portion of today's show is about, is how insane some of these injuries are and things that we just weren't anticipating. Good things, bad things, we got it all. But first of all, credit to, I think the two guys that I was looking at for resources were David Lombardi of the SF Standard and Nick Wagner of ESPN. So that's majority of where I got this information from. Want to make sure they get their credit. So let's talk about the information that they were able to get to us. Starting with these two. So Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles and Renardo Green got banged up. And obviously the 49ers are already banged up at cornerback with Charvarius Ward, not playing and for obvious reasons. And he can take as much time as he needs. But Renardo Green comes out of this game with a neck injury. Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, key special teamer, dealing with a knee injury. Thankfully, as we start off with these updates and these reports, both of these players are considered day to day. So we're okay there. So we'll continue to monitor these guys as they get up to speed throughout the week. Obviously, Renardo Green is elevated into a starting role, and that was he elevated himself into a starting role, I think, but before Charvarius Ward had to take some time away. But it's been tough, man. It's been tough, but let's continue to move on. This is just the start to it. This one I think is the more concerning one with Deommodore Lenoir. So Lenoir will he has a knee injury. Obviously had to exit the game against the Packers, and they're currently waiting for the results. So we don't know the true extent of the knee injury that he's dealing with, which again has us holding our breath a little bit because, well earned. We just paid Deommodore Lenoir. He has kind of, I in my estimation, has kind of elevated himself to our top cornerback. Mooney Ward has played really, really well, but obviously he's been dealing with some things this year that are, outside of, off the field. But Deommodore Lenoir has played really, really well. unfortunately, now we don't know if this is a day-to-day injury, a week-to-week injury. We don't know if this will land him on IR. Like, we don't know. We don't know. So, Diamador Lenore dealing with a knee injury, waiting MRI results, and we will have to see. Hopefully, we get good news. I can't imagine anyone is hoping for bad news with Diamador. So we're hoping the knee is good and he can return to the field this week. But we'll see. And so it keeps going, though. Obviously, with Trent Williams and Nick Bosa, both of them missed the game against the Packers. I hate that we kind of got taken for a little bit of a ride with Trent Williams, and it's not to Trent Williams' fault or anyone else's fault. It's just the nature of the circumstances. He didn't practice all week. We hear from Adam Schefter in the middle of the night, early morning, depending on where you're at. They reported that they were optimistic about Trent Williams playing in this game. And so that kind of got our hopes up. We're like, okay, they're still going to have to test it pregame. And then we heard from Jay Glazer probably about an hour or so before the news actually dropped that he was inactive, that he's trending towards, being doubtful to play in this game. And so it went from, all right, well, at least we have Trent Williams to, oh my gosh, we don't have Trent Williams. So that was a bit of a interesting ride. We knew Nick Bosa wasn't going to play. So Nick Bosa now is day-to-day along with Trent Williams. So both of these guys have an opportunity to be able to play in this one coming up. I know that I would have to say that a majority of the fan base right now isn't even concerned about the following week. I just think that's just how down bad we are, after that game against the Packers, being 5-6, almost mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. However, it's a weird spot to be in for the 49ers. 10% chance, 10 to 15% chance based on what models you've seen that the 49ers can make the playoffs while they're one game out of first place in the NFC West. It's a weird, I've never experienced it. It's new territory for me. Obviously, with these injuries that we're continuing to see, and I know people are not feeling that great from it. But hey, here we are. So these guys are considered day to day. They will have a chance to potentially go against the Bills on prime time. So I would say you want to get them out there because at minimum, you don't want to get embarrassed again like what happened against the Packers. So, hey, we'll see. But that's something that we'll have to monitor throughout the week and see how that continues to go. This one surprised me today, and I'm not liking this very much either. Dominic Pooney is currently getting either currently is or has gotten an MRI on his shoulder. We are currently awaiting the results of Dominic Pooney. So we don't really know the extent of this. We don't know how serious it is. Again, when you're starting to get MRIs to ensure there's no structural damage, that's, I think, when all the variables open up. Could be day to day, could be week to week, could miss multiple weeks. We don't really know. So with Pooney, we're in a wait and see period. Same thing as Diamador Lenore. So two players, Diamador Lenore and Dominic Pooney, are awaiting results of the MRI. I'm hopeful that they come back positive and both the players can go, because it's all hands on deck from here on out. Obviously, I think fans are kind of transitioning towards, you know, get your best draft position available. The season's over. I've heard a lot of that. You can see it a lot in the chat. Um, but I can tell you that this team's going to keep going as long as they're not mathematically eliminated. So, I mean, Pooney's been a bright spot on the offensive line. I thought he's been playing at a, you know, arguably an all-pro caliber level, even as a rookie. He's been phenomenal. Hasn't been perfect. I know he had a couple penalties in the first half of that game against the Packers, but he body of work. He's been good. He's been really good. So you hope to get him out there, but we'll see. And so obviously there you can see on the screen there's also Aaron Banks. Aaron Banks is in the concussion protocol. So the concussion protocol is tricky. Not every concussion is built the same. When I say built, it's not the same with every individual player. Every individual player reacts uniquely to themselves. So he could be fine. He could be good to go against the Bills. He could not. We'll have to see. We don't know. So big question marks with two of the 49ers starting guards. Clearly, if neither one of these guys can go, you already know that Spencer Burford will step in, and probably Nick Zakel or Ben Barch, because we have some additional crazy news that we're going to get to that I was not expecting at all. With Dre Greenlaw, we got some good news, I guess, depending on who you are and how you view this season. Dre Greenlaw has had his practice window opened to return. So what that means is Dre Greenlaw will be practicing this week. And I like it. I'm excited for it. I want to see Dre Greenlaw back out there on the field personally. I want to see that energy back. I think, being able to see the tandem of Fred and Dre back together, I think Dre will be able to be a little bit of a spark for this defense. I think a spark for Fred. I think Fred's going through it, just with how the season has gone. And I'm just hopeful that, he comes back and he's able to play, no setbacks or anything like that. So at least Dre Greenlaw. And now it's important to note that we don't know if Dre Greenlaw will actually play in this game against the Bills. We have to wait and see what his practice availability looks like. Again, opening up the 21-day practice window doesn't guarantee he plays this week. The 49ers have 21 days in order to actually activate him to the active roster. So that means they're going to have to make a corresponding roster move. So we'll see. We don't know. But it was explained by Kyle Shanahan that Dre Greenlaw has been going through mock practices. So very similar to what Christian McCaffrey was doing. Where you're basically going through a practice just with no other players on the field. You do your warm-ups, you do your individuals, you simulate team drills, most likely just you're not going up against anyone. So he's cleared that hurdle, which means he is now able to return to actual practice. So that will be good. I mean, I'm excited about that. I think that's good news. That's some of the good news to come out of this wild update that we got from Kyle Shanahan. So we'll see if it will play. We don't know about that yet. So that's another thing that we're going to have to monitor. This was the biggest surprise of them all, because unfortunately, we needed Feliciano. The 49ers interior group outside of Pooney has been struggling as of late. Jonathan Feliciano has proven to be a more than capable starter, but unfortunately, he is done for the season. He will not be activated off IR, and he will not play this year. Um, this was a tough one, man. I was just hoping that he was, I didn't necessarily know how serious the knee injury was. I was more under the impression that the 49ers just, they would have to make a roster move. There's only so many offensive line spots, so I just felt they were kind of waiting and kind of buying some time. But it comes out, that Feliciano not only might not return, not only isn't returning this year, he might retire flat out. Um, this is what he had said. He'd posted to Twitter right after all this stuff came out. He said, "Tried my hardest. Father Time is real. Hoping this ain't the end, but if it is, hell of a ride." So just brutal, man. Just absolutely brutal. He had you know bought his time and waited, filled in admirably last year when there was injuries to both Spencer Burford and Aaron Banks. He would just flip flop between left guard, right guard, left guard, right guard. Um, and he played so well. And then he finally earned the starting right guard spot heading into the postseason. To me, it really helped kind of solidify consistency across the offensive line, which they were desperately needing. And he was awesome. And unfortunately got hurt in the Super Bowl. And now the knee does look like it's not going to allow him to return. He came back for training camp. He got like a couple practices in, and then I think he re-aggravated it. And just sounds like it's been a problem for him for a while. So brutal, brutal. I didn't have this on my bingo card for this season. I've been patiently waiting the return of Feliciano because, like I said, he really brings a level of consistency as a veteran. And right now, the offensive line needs consistency so bad. And I thought, he would have some opportunities to return, but that is not the case. So unfortunate for Feliciano. I'm wishing him the best. That's my guy. So hopefully things work out for him. But I don't know, man. It's tough. Uh, and then last but not least, we got a Brock Purdy update. Brock apparently, according to Kyle Shanahan, went through a light throwing session today, and throughout the light throwing session, there were no setbacks. So it does sound like Purdy is most likely trending towards practicing. I'm not going to say he's going to play, trending towards practicing on Wednesday. So we'll have to wait and see what that situation looks like and go from there, because I wasn't anticipating the situation with Purdy playing out as it did last week. And as it currently stands, uh, we'll see. We'll see. Um, so, yeah, that. And I think I didn't even get all of them. There was just so many. I think Jordan Elliott, defensive tackle, is in the concussion protocol. Um, I believe uh I believe Jacob Cowing is still in the concussion protocol. I have to double check that. Um But yeah, I don't know. Did you guys agree that this was a crazy update? Because it was a pretty crazy update. There's a lot of stuff um, to come out of this game. Uh, it feels like a tidal wave of unfortunate news for the San Francisco 49ers. Brutal, dude. So, um, that is our update. Not a fun one. We got some good news in there. Uh, but like, I mean, when we take a step back, we're looking at a situation of the 49ers could potentially be down their top three cornerbacks this week. There's a world that exists where both their starting guards are out this week. There's a world that exists where Brock doesn't play. There's a world that exists where Trent doesn't play and Bosa doesn't play. Dude, it's crazy, man. It just feels like felt like early on in this season. It's like the season was like we were on a roller coaster. That's how I keep explaining it. You know, going through the ups and downs of this year, it felt like a roller coaster. You know, you get the big win against the Jets. They fall really hard against the Vikings. They lose a phenomenal offensive performance that they got from Brock and Juwan Jennings, and they lose it in the fourth quarter to the Rams. They beat the Patriots, but should have beat the Patriots by more. Then they lose another fourth quarter game against the Cardinals in week 5. They go on the road and beat Seattle at their place, get dismantled by the Chiefs on offense, beat the Cowboys bye week, almost lose to the Bucks, and then lose again at the end of the game by the Seahawks, and then get pummeled by the Packers. It's been a year for sure. I think we can say that it's been a year. Someone said, "What's the Brock news?" Is he was throwing today, and he was throwing today and was able to get through it without any setbacks. So he's trending towards potentially being available against the Bills. So I'm glad that the 49ers don't have a game on Thanksgiving this year. So we can enjoy and watch our Thanksgiving and watch those games in peace. And then on Monday, December 1st, 49ers back on the road against the Bills. And yeah, it's not ideal. Not ideal. I didn't expect the 49ers to be here. I didn't expect it to be a perfect season by any stretch of the imagination. But I didn't expect this. So it's crazy. It's crazy to be here. The 49ers have 6 games left. The injuries are starting to absolutely pile up. Um, hindsight is what it is. They needed to win those games in division. They needed to beat the Rams. They needed to beat the Cardinals. They needed to beat the Seahawks so that they could withstand this storm, so that they could go into Green Bay without their quarterback, their left tackle, their starting cornerback, their starting defensive end, starting safety, starting linebacker, starting defensive tackle, and it be what it is, right? But because they dropped those games, um, they went into a an environment where the Packers hate the 49ers because we have ruined their season, um, year in, year out. And they had a bone to pick and they picked it. And and the 49ers unfortunately didn't give themselves any wiggle room and limped into that game and got mollywopped. I think it was Kyle who said it was an embarrassing game. Someone said it was an embarrassing game. I think it was an embarrassing game. It was one of the worst games, I've seen in a long time, by the San Francisco 49ers. Brutal. And the crazy part is too about that game is the Packers weren't all that great. They were really good running the football. 49ers, I think, had the most missed tackles. Some crazy stat about missed tackles. I don't even remember what it was. I think they had like 19 missed tackles, something like historically bad night at missed tackles. You know, Jordan Love tried to give the ball to the 49ers and couldn't bring it in. Uh, so it's crazy to think. It's crazy to think, maybe if they had Brock, if they had, Bosa, if they had a couple of the guys, um, and they performed better, because it was obviously a poor performance. The guys that you needed to step up didn't step up. So it you had insane penalties. The pancake block that was called a holding that you know was a desperate, desperate need for the momentum to get an 87-yard return to start inside your opponent's 20, down. I think they were down 10 at that point, if I'm not mistaken. So they would had an opportunity to change field, get a score, potentially cut the game to a one score game. And hey, at that point, you get some confidence, um, you build some momentum, and you get some faith inside of you. And then it just melted away. After that, it just kind of melted away, and it was unfortunate to watch. Like I don't use this, I don't say this when describing watching 49ers games often, but it was low key sad watching that game. Like it was just you it's like you could feel the energy, you could feel like what was happening, and it was like I can't I can't look away, but it just keeps spiraling out of control, and you're just like I was upset yesterday. I was really upset. It takes a lot for me to get upset, but I was pretty upset yesterday. And again, there's so many circumstances involved. There there's so many things that didn't go right for the 49ers, and then they just made it worse on themselves. And it was painful. It was painful too because we knew the season was on the line. We knew that this was a huge game, and going in there with Brandon Allen, who is put in an unfair spot. You know, I know the whole fan base wanted Dobbs, myself included. Brandon Allen goes in with a broken finger. That turns into a situation. I thought Brandon Allen played okay. Um, he had some really good throws. If we're going to be perfectly honest with ourselves, that back shoulder he had to Kittle, the touchdown to Kittle, even some of the lasers he had to Debo, they were very tight window throws, but he put it only where his guy could get it, and they just weren't able to bring him in. Um, I think my rationale for wanting to see Dobbs was because he had legs, because he had the ability to escape the pocket when things were going to break down, and we knew the pocket was going to break down. Um, and that was just kind of like my reasoning. I just wanted to see Dobbs be able to create outside of structure because we knew it was going to break down. We knew the pocket was going to collapse. We knew the structure was going to be a challenge to maintain, which is why I wanted Dobbs, because Dobbs can play outside of structure. That was really my main ideology. My main thesis was Dobbs can create. Dobbs can make plays with his legs. Dobbs adds an element to the offense where you could run zone read. You could get 11 on 11 football. You could kind of adjust the scheme a little bit. Like, I think that's what I was looking for. I was, we've seen the 49ers scheme up until this point, and it's been hit or miss. And when you're down Trent, you're down BA, uh, you know, guys aren't playing their best. Uh, it felt like you're bound to your structure, you're bound to the structure of the play with Allen. And so, like, let's say first, second read aren't there, it gets real dicey. And, that's my rationale for wanting to see Dobbs, is that if first, second read wasn't there, you could, you know, I don't know. It doesn't matter. I don't think Brandon Allen played terrible. Uh, I don't think he played great. I don't think he played terrible. He played all right. Um, but it is what it is. No complimentary football, penalties, turnovers, can't tackle. So it was just a rough go. It was a rough go all the way around. It didn't get any better. It just continued to be bad. Um, and so yeah, man, tough one. Tough one indeed. That was a real tough one. And now it's like I'm in new territory because I'm heading into, I believe it is my fourth year of covering this team, completely independent as my full-time job. And at least in all of the years, the 49ers have been competitive up until the last game. Uh, like, they have been in it. They've been fighting. They've been scratching. They've been clawing. We got 6 games left, and it feels like Cancun on 3. Like, it feels like I covered the 2020 year. I covered the 2017 year. I covered the 2018 year. Just wasn't my full-time gig. I was doing it as a hobby. So, like, I remember those days very, very well. I've been here since the start of the Kyle Shanahan era. I'm just saying, from like the thought process of, like, you know, this isn't at that time. This is what I didn't do this every day. Like, I didn't rely, like, I do this every day. And so, um, it's just weird. It's a weird spot to be in. It's like, how, like, 6 weeks, extremely rough road ahead, and they're not officially eliminated from the playoffs, but there's only like a 10% chance they make the playoffs. However, they are one game out of first place in the NFC West. Yeah, it's a freaking weird year. It's a weird season. They shouldn't be at this spot, but they are. Um, you would be great to say, they've just gotten outgunned, but that's not the case. They've beaten themselves in a lot of these games. And I think that's where a lot of the frustration drives from this season is self-inflicted wounds. That's really been, I think, what's been the hardest part about this year is that is getting in your own way, making mental mistakes, making execution errors. It's like, oh my god, like that's the toughest part. And it's like we know that this core group isn't going to stick together forever. Um, we know that there's going to be, I think, God, that feels like there's 20, 30 free agents uh, heading up into this season. So it's crazy. It is crazy uh, where we're at. And so it is what it is, right? Can't do anything about it. All we can literally do is just react to it and have. I think we're going to have a lot of therapy sessions from here on out. Barring a miracle from the football gods to smile down upon us and have the ball bounce our way, have the yellow flag bounce our way. Everything feels like it's been against the 49ers this year. The 49ers have been against the 49ers. The refs have really, really not helped the 49ers at all. But that's not an excuse. That's just what it is every single year. And then also, on top of that, it's just there's a laundry list of many different things that just have not gone the 49ers way. And so it's been brutal. Been a brutal year, been a brutal season, been a brutal off season. And yeah, here we are. Here we are sitting in it, living in it, and having to try to process it. So it's a weird spot. It's a weird spot to be. So I don't know what the fixes are for this season. I don't know what the 49ers are going to do to try to get this figured out. What the what do you do? What do you do? All they can do is keep trying to put themselves in a position to have something break their way, try to get into the playoffs because no one inside that building uh, is going to accept defeat. They're gonna go down swinging. They're going to just continue to keep fighting. They're going to continue to keep attacking the best they can because what else do you have? Um, I think fans want to see the 49ers play for draft position, but that's just not how it works. All the yeah, let's get together and lose games so that we can make sure that we can draft higher so guys can come in and take our jobs. Like that's just not the thought process. I understand why fans would want that, but I just don't think that's how it works inside a building like that. So I don't know. For me, it's one game at a time. Going to take it as it comes, and we'll see what happens from here on out. But other than that, you know, hard to really be able to have a ton of optimism, just where we're currently at and what the 49ers need to do to move forward, you know? Um, it's just a lot of things have not gone the 49ers way, and they find themselves massive hole. Massive, massive hole. So hey, we'll see what's gonna go down, but I have no idea um where we're gonna go from here. So get ready, folks. 6 weeks left of guaranteed football. 6 weeks of guaranteed football. Um, yeah, man. Crazy. If you guys have any questions, if you want to drop them in, I'll answer a couple. If not, we can get out of here. Sup said season went by fast. Yeah, it went by really fast. It just felt like it never ended. It just felt like we went into drama into the season, and then the drama just followed us throughout the season and just never left us. Boxing fan said next time Kyle shouldn't run the Brock playbook with a statue. I mean, I hear what you're saying. That was kind of the thought process behind, wanting to play Dobbs. One of the reasons why the 49ers offense has had success is because Brock has been able to use his legs. He's been able to get outside the structure. He's been able to, create and keep drives alive with his legs. And that's kind of what I was hoping to get with Dobbs, because Dobbs can play outside of structure, where I don't look at Allen as a guy who can play outside of structure. And right now, the structure of the offense isn't working all that well. So it is what it is. Like I said, I don't think Allen played bad. Someone says, do I think CMC needs to get traded? No, I don't. I think he just needs to get healthy. I just think he needs to get back. I think he probably needs the off season to continue to get right. And we'll see. We know no one's going to work harder than CMC. So I don't think trading him would be. And also, if you were trading him, you're trading him at his lowest possible value. So you probably wouldn't be getting anything in return. Let's see. This is an interesting question. Fernando says, how does a team behave in the locker room in this situation? No motivation at all. As a fan, you can just stop watching the games and buying stuff, but as a player, you are putting your body on the line. It's really important for players to keep playing. When you start half-assing it, that's when injuries happen. That's when you get yourself in trouble. So it's like you got to play for pride, and you also got to play. You got to play for your next contract. You got to play. This is your job at the end of the day. I think fans have a hard time totally understanding that, but this is their job at the end of the day. And so they got to go out, just like, there are days I would love to clock out, and I would love to not stream and just take some time and hang out with my family and not talk about how the 49ers are bad. But, we got to do what we got to do, just like the players do. And they got to go out there. They got to perform. They got to put their best foot forward. And again, man, they're judged by their tape. They're judged by the film. So if they're going out and they're half-assing they're putting that on film, that's an indictment on them. That's an indictment on their future contract. That's the thing. It's like it's a team sport, 100%. but as an individual, you have to put your best foot forward. This is your livelihood. This is your reputation. This is what's going to get you your next contract. So you gotta go out there and play. You got to put in the effort. You got to put in the time. And even if it's falling apart on you, you just got to put your head down, man. And you gotta take it one play at a time, one game at a time. It's a tough situation to be in, I'm sure. But yeah, they can't check out. And if they check out, you notice it. You see it. That's where you see the effort dip. That's where you see concentration dip. Um, and that's not where you want to be. So as a player in a situation where you might not be playing for something this year, you gotta stay as locked in as possible, um, for your own good, for your own benefit. Obviously, you're trying to benefit your team. You're trying to play for your brothers and your boys as well. But at the end of the day, you also got to play for yourself. Um, so I don't know, man. It's tough. What happened in the pregame between the Packers and the 49ers? I don't know. Just sounds like they got into it a little bit. Um, I feel like I saw Keyshawn Nixon in the middle of it. It's funny because Keyshawn Nixon and Diamador and Debo, they talk crap to each other all the time because they're boys. But a lot of people don't understand that. So I feel like those guys were egging each other on, and I don't know. I wasn't there, so I don't know. This is pure speculation. Um, so I don't know. Brad, what is your opinion on Tyshawn Raekwon Samuel Sr.? Man, use a government name, possibly getting traded. Uh, I think we're all in the understanding that this has been Debo's last season. I think we knew that coming in. I've seen the way that he's talked about this year. People in his circle have talked about this year. This is basically a contract year because he's heading into the same situation that both Trent and CMC just went through. Um, they have years left on their deal, but the guaranteed money runs out. Players aren't going to play with no guarantees. It's just not how. That's again, you see how easily it is for someone to get injured and be out for the season. So they're not going to play without the guaranteed money. It's just not how it works. So we knew that heading into the season. We knew that heading into this year. And so I've been anticipating this being the last season with Debo, good or bad. Just because again, the contract situation, they're gonna have to. You know, they paid BA. They already shopped Debo multiple times. So I think we knew that this was going to probably be Debo's last season, like during the year, like during the off season, like in training camp, like we knew that. So I imagine that to be the ultimate outcome is I don't think the 49ers are going to uh they did restructure his contract, but if they designate him as a post June 1st, they will be able to recoup some cap space back. I think in the range of like 20 million. They'll still take a substantial dead cap hit, but uh, they will recoup some decent amount of cap space if they designate him as a post June 1st cut. So I don't know. We'll see. I that's just where my mind's been at. I just assumed that this was going to be a contract season. His money's guarantees are done after this season, And I would assume that the 49ers would be looking for kind of like a sign and trade deal, right? Where Debo could go out, he can negotiate a new deal, and then the 49ers will get something in return for him. That's been my assumption of what is going to happen. It's not a foregone conclusion that that's going to happen, but it's been my assumption. So we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, man, it's going to be a weird year. A lot of moving pieces. A lot of changes I think are going to happen. So we're going to have to see. But like I said, been a weird, crazy update that we got. A lot of moving parts still with this roster. So hey, we'll see what happens. We'll see how it continues to play out, but not ideal as it currently stands. So 6 weeks remain. Stay strong. Stay brave. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Oh boy. But appreciate everyone for tapping in. Smash that like button if you can for me. Grab some cookies on the way out because I know we all need them. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see